Throughout the years, black artists have been taken advantage of.
Right.
Completely. And it's time now that we have to put a stop to this incredible injustice.
We're listening to Mike right now. Obviously, you know, this is a really sad time right now, but we're celebrating his life. Your thoughts right now on the situation and the timing of this tragedy?
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's just somebody that changed my life. You know what I'm saying? Somebody I'll always love and cherish. They have to make the changes for us. They're a non-profit organization that is supposed to protect the welfare of the musical community. That's what it says on the mission statement. That's the truth. They work for us. We have the power. We decide what's hot. If we don't go, nobody goes. If we don't support, nobody supports. We control what's cool. We control what's hot. We control what your kids listen to, what they dance to. We control what's in video games. We control how they wear their pants, sag their pants. We control everything.
What's wrong with my book? I don't know if I should tell you this, but I don't know who may be listening. There may be a group of people that want to get rid of me. They don't want me here anymore.
I want to hear about Elvis and John Lennon and none of them motherfuckers. Michael Jackson is the king of this shit.
When somebody like Jim Carrey calls Hollywood spineless, he's not talking about one awkward award show moment. He's talking about an entire industry packed with people who know exactly what happens behind closed doors and still stand up clapping like nothing's wrong. Some of those same celebrities were crying on camera after Michael Jackson died. But now people are starting to ask a darker question. Was that grief actually respect or fear of what Michael knew? Because Michael wasn't just an entertainer. He openly called out executives, labeled parts of the industry demonic, and warned that black artists were being used up by the same machine pretending to celebrate them. And if even part of that was true, then what does that say about the careers built inside that system? Ice Cube still calls Michael the king, but when Cube talks about the club, things start sounding real different. Suddenly the question isn't whether Michael feared Hollywood. It's why names like Oprah Winfrey and Sean Combs seemed uncomfortable around him, and what Cube saw that made him back away from that world completely. Every time the conversation shifts to who really runs the industry, the same names keep surfacing. And Cube? He's been saying this stuff long before it became trendy to speak out. The second he explained how that circle really operates, certain doors quietly stopped opening for him. And that part hits different. He's not talking about bad press or social media drama. He's describing a system where staying inside means staying silent, and stepping out means paying the price for having a backbone. What's wild is that Michael Jackson described almost the exact same machine years earlier. But before getting back to Michael, listen closely to how Diddy himself once talked about this kind of power.
They have to make the changes for us. They're a non-profit organization that is supposed to protect the welfare of the musical community. That's what it says on the mission statement. That's the truth. They work for us. We have the power. We decide what's hot. If we don't go, nobody goes. If we don't support, nobody supports. We control what's cool. We control what's hot. We control what your kids listen to, what they dance to. We control what's in video games. We control how they wear their pants, sag their pants. We control everything.
That doesn't sound like an artist casually talking about music anymore. It sounds like somebody exposing a whole power structure hiding behind the spotlight. And that's the part Ice Cube refuses to ignore. His question is simple: who stays invisible while controlling everything from the shadows? Because from Cube's perspective, the entertainment business and the machine that profits off ruining people are basically the same beast. And he's not speaking from rumors or internet gossip. He's been inside those rooms long enough to watch how the system really moves when the cameras stop rolling.
Who benefits and profits off our bickering in our division? You know, it's like follow the money. I don't know their names, but if you follow the money, you go high enough, you start to see, okay, you know, this is an industry. Okay, let's take rap music.
Let's take it.
Same people who own the labels own the prisons. So,
Literally the same people?
literally the same people who own the labels own private prisons. So, you know, it seems really kind of suspicious, if you want to say that word, that, you know, the records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
But they didn't make you write those lyrics.
It's not about making somebody write the lyrics. It's about being there as guardrails to make sure certain songs make it through and certain songs don't. Certain flavors are exposed on the record. You know, some records are made by committee. Meaning record company guys sit around and tell the artists, this is hot, say that, do this. We're gonna have this guy write the lyrics. We're gonna have that. So the narrative is really kind of, you know, structured and really made into what the record company want the record to be, and what the, you know, a lot of artists are frustrated with this kind of music making. You know, a lot of people, you know, feel like they're being controlled by the label. This is how they do it. Telling you what songs to sing, what hooks to do, what songs, you know, you can do your song, that's fine. That's an album cut. But the single is what we all say is the single. So you have, you know, the record company pushing the narrative, you know, and you know, so this to me is in somewhat, you know, some social engineering going on here to make sure those prisons stay full.
Don't miss why that detail matters, because it changes the entire story moving forward. Michael Jackson wasn't just caught inside the machine. For years, he was the machine's biggest prize. But the second he stopped playing along and started speaking up, everything shifted. That's where things got real dark, and suddenly the alleged tension around names like Oprah Winfrey and Sean Combs starts looking a lot less random. Michael didn't wait until fame disappeared to call people out. He spoke when he was still the biggest star on the planet. After giving the industry hit after hit, he turned around, looked directly at the people profiting off him, and basically said, I see exactly what this system is doing, and it needs to end.
Throughout the years, black artists have been taken advantage of. Completely. And it's time now that we have to put a stop to this incredible injustice. And like Mrs. Sharpton was saying, people from James Brown to Sammy Davis Jr., some of the real pioneers that inspired me to be the entertainer that I am. These artists are always on tour because if they stop touring, they would totally go broken. And it's been, the record companies really do conspire against their artists. They steal, they cheat, they do whatever they can, especially the black artists. Yes, and Tommy Mottola is the president of the record division. He is a meme, he's a racist, and he's very devilish. Yes. So I need your support, not just for me. When you fight for me, you're fighting for all black people.
You don't make accusations like that if you're still trying to stay welcome in the room. The moment Michael Jackson started calling powerful executives devilish and accusing the industry of exploiting black artists, the line was already crossed for good. You don't publicly challenge the people running the machine unless you're prepared for the fallout that comes after. And honestly, this is where things get uncomfortable. Michael's warnings about the industry have aged far better than the industry's version of Michael ever did. Because the second he began pushing back, the narrative around him flipped fast. People remember the headlines and gossip, but not the evidence. What rarely gets revisited is how Michael himself described living through that investigation, and what that entire experience actually felt like from his side.
There have been many disgusting statements made recently concerning allegations of improper conduct on my part. These statements about me are totally false. As I have maintained from the very beginning, I am hoping for a speedy end to this horrifying experience to which I have been subjected. I shall not in this statement respond to all of the false allegations being made against me, since my lawyers have advised me that this is not the proper forum in which to do that. I will say that I am particularly upset by the handling of this mass matter by the incredible, terrible mass media. At every opportunity, the media has dissected and manipulated these allegations to reach their own conclusions. I ask all of you to wait and hear the truth before you label or condemn me. Don't treat me like a criminal, because I am innocent. I have been forced to submit to a dehumanizing and humiliating examination by the Santa Barbara County Sheriff Department and the Los Angeles Police Department earlier this week. They served a search warrant on me which allowed them to view and photograph my body, including my buttocks, my lower torso, thighs, and any other area that they wanted. They were supposedly looking for any discoloration, spotting, blotches, or other evidence of a skin color disorder called vitiligo, which I have previously spoken about. The warrant also directed me to cooperate in any examination of my body by their physician to determine the condition of my skin, including whether I have vitiligo or any other skin disorder. The warrant further stated that I had no right to refuse the examination or photographs, and if I failed to cooperate with them, they would introduce that refusal at any trial as an indication of my guilt. It was the most humiliating ordeal of my life, one that no person should ever have to suffer. And even after experiencing the indignity of this search, the parties involved were still not satisfied and wanted to take even more pictures. It was a nightmare, a horrifying nightmare. But if this is what I have to endure to prove my innocence, my complete innocence, so be it.
Listen closely to how Michael Jackson breaks it all down step by step, because none of it sounds like someone being protected by the system. If anything, it sounds like somebody being turned into a warning. And once that idea settles in, the bigger question hits hard. Whose influence depends on Michael never being taken seriously? Even now, people throw Michael's name around as instant outrage bait without bothering to look deeper into the facts. Some voices will label him with the worst accusations imaginable, then immediately switch the conversation back to their own image, their Sony disputes, or whatever cancel culture debate is trending that week.
You can imagine now my understanding of the facts surrounding the MJ case, that he went to war with Sony, one of these major companies, and he was winning that war. And then suddenly the world was told that Michael Jackson is a or somebody is an anti-Semite. Michael Jackson, I think, was called all of those things. Wacko Jacko, they gave him a name.
How do you feel when they call you Wacko Jacko? It's not nice. I'm not a wacko.
The exact same tactics that they tried to use on me. Someone pressed a button and there was a full court press effort to cancel Candace Owens by trying to convince the people that she just went crazy and anti-Semitic. Thank goodness I'm not from Hollywood. They would have institutionalized me and said that it was for my good. There are a ton of people in Hollywood who, when they have tried to speak out about things that are happening to them, have received this same treatment. I believe this is what happened to Britney Spears.
That's the detail most people completely miss. Even during her rant, the real target wasn't just one person. It was the industry itself, the exact same system Michael Jackson had already warned people about years earlier. So think about that for a second. If that machine saw Michael as a threat back then, what does that mean for the celebrities whose entire careers were built inside it? Because to understand why certain powerful names may have felt uneasy around Michael, you have to look beyond the accusations alone. The bigger story is about how the narrative against him was shaped from day one and who benefited most from turning him into the villain.
In 1993, the very first allegation came against him, made from a screenwriter in the industry. He was both a screenwriter and a dentist named Dr. Evan Chandler. It was based in Los Angeles, and his accusation was that Jackson had his 13-year-old son, Jordan. Horrific. Now, how this came about was that Jordan told his psychiatrist that Jackson had him. And then the LAPD began a criminal investigation. But the investigation actually found no physical evidence against Jackson, and it was closed. The case was closed less than 1 year later. Now, that should have stopped the media from reporting on it. Michael Jackson wasn't guilty, but we know the media has never let facts get in the way of them having a good time. They broke the allegations worldwide, which led Michael Jackson to cancel the second leg of his Dangerous World Tour in August of that same year. And he cited health issues, health problems that were stemming from the stress of the entire scandal. And do you want to know what actually added to the stress? This is actually horrific. His sister, LaToya Jackson, came right out and she said, yup, Michael Jackson is a But then something weird happened. She didn't provide any evidence. She didn't even attach that statement to a story. And when people prodded her about that, why did you say your brother is a she admitted that it was her husband who had forced her to make that statement.
Once you line this up with Ice Cube's explanation of how media, executives, and prisons all connect, the chaos stops looking random. Suddenly, the pattern feels way too coordinated. And inside that pattern, Michael Jackson becomes more than a music icon. He starts looking like a problem for anyone who needed the system left untouched. If you want to pinpoint where things really changed between Michael and the media machine, a lot of people go back to the night Oprah Winfrey visited Neverland. The interview was promoted like this emotional, safe space where Michael could finally tell his story. But watching it back now, the energy feels very different. Less like a heartfelt conversation and more like an interrogation hiding behind polite smiles.
There was a story, and I know one of your attorneys held a news conference. There was a story about you wanting to have a little white boy play you in a Pepsi commercial.
That is so stupid. That's the most ridiculous, horrifying story I've ever heard. It's crazy. I mean, why? Number one, it's my face as a child in the commercial. Me, when I was little. Why would I want a white child to play me? I'm a Black American. I'm proud to be a Black American. I am proud of my race. I am proud of who I am. I have a lot of pride in who I am and dignity. That's like you wanting an Oriental person to play you as a child. Does that make sense?
No.
So please, people, stop believing these
Michael,
horrifying
then
stories.
let's go to the thing that is most discussed about you, I think, is the fact that the color of your skin is obviously different than it was when you were younger.
Yes.
And so I think it has caused a great deal of speculation and controversy as to what you have done or are doing. Are you bleaching your skin? And is your skin lighter because you don't like being Black?
Okay, number one, as I know of, there is no such thing as skin bleaching. I have never seen it. I don't know what it is.
Well, they used to have those products growing up. I used to hear, always use bleach and glow, but you'd have to have about 300,000 gallons to...
Okay, number one, this is the situation. I have a skin disorder that destroys the pigmentation of the skin. It's something that I cannot help. Okay, but when people make up stories that I don't want to be who I am, it hurts me.
So it is.
It's a problem for me, okay? I can't control it, okay? But what about all the millions of people? Let's reverse it.
Okay.
What about all the millions of people who sit out in the sun to become darker, to become other than what they are? Nobody says nothing about that.
So when did this start? When did the color of your skin start to change?
Oh boy, sometime after Thriller, around Off the Wall Thriller.
And what did you think? I mean,
it's in my family. My father said it's on his side. I can't control it. I don't understand. I mean, it makes me very sad. I don't want to go into my medical history because that's something that's private, but that's the situation here. So please, when people see something like that.
I just want to get this straight.
Yeah.
You are not taking anything to change the color of your skin.
Oh God, no.
You did not purposely.
We're trying to control it, and using makeup evens it out because it makes blotches on the skin, and I have to even out my skin. But you know what's funny? Why is that so important?
Did you notice how often Oprah Winfrey keeps steering the conversation back toward rumors and spectacle? Every time Michael Jackson tries explaining his condition or opening up about his past, the energy shifts. She doesn't approach him like someone trying to understand him. She treats him like a mystery to solve in front of millions watching at home. For the audience, it became must-see TV. For Michael, it was his identity being dissected live on camera. And through Ice Cube's lens of gatekeepers and media control, Oprah stops looking like someone simply asking questions and starts looking like someone shaping the narrative itself. Years after leaving Neverland, she was handed another massive platform and another decision. Only this time, she wasn't sitting across from Michael. She was standing on a stage built to magnify accusations against him, once again choosing the version of the story guaranteed to drive outrage and ratings.
But for me, this moment transcends Michael Jackson. It is much bigger than any one person.
Oprah Winfrey opened up about her decision to speak to Michael Jackson's accusers for her After Neverland special when she stopped by The Daily Show on Wednesday night. Last month, Winfrey made headlines when she sat down with Michael Jackson accusers for Oprah Winfrey Presents After Neverland, which aired on HBO following the explosive documentary about the singer titled Leaving Neverland.
If they ever found out what we were doing, he and I would go to jail.
Winfrey said of her decision to do the special, "I haven't had that much hateration since I did the puppy episode with Ellen DeGeneres, aka the episode in which DeGeneres came out as gay." The talk show host continued, "But when I saw that documentary, I realized that a lot of people are going to be triggered by watching it, and a lot of people will not understand what the pattern is." Winfrey explained, "People call it but there is a big seducing that goes on, and that was important enough for me to take the hateration for."
This wasn't some balanced discussion filled with nuance. It felt more like a verdict already decided, packaged as a conversation for television. Michael Jackson wasn't there to truly defend himself, and there was barely any real challenge to the accusations being presented as fact. Then later, when parts of those claims started falling apart under closer scrutiny, Oprah Winfrey didn't exactly rush to revisit the narrative. And if you believe Michael became a scapegoat for something much deeper inside the industry, that stops looking like journalism and starts looking like protection for the system itself. What made it hit even harder was the way Oprah spoke about Michael after his death. The same person who once turned their connection into a major public moment suddenly talked about him like he was just another celebrity interview from the archive.
Even though we're on a cruise, is watching all the newses and reading all the newspapers, and she said, "Something's happened to Michael, I don't think it's good." And it scared me because in 1998, I think that was the year, I was in another hotel room. Gail was in, and Gail called and said, "Something's happened to Princess Diana. I don't think it's good." So when I heard that, immediately I thought, oh my God, could it be? And so we were all stunned. And
did you ever consider going to either the memorial service or the funeral?
No, I did not consider going to the memorial service or the funeral because I did not consider myself to be a friend of his. And I didn't want to be one of those people showing up just because it's Michael Jackson. So no, I didn't, because I was not a friend. I was someone who had interviewed him and at the time really had a lot of compassion for him. And
those feelings about him changed over the years?
The feelings didn't change. In terms of my sense of compassion for him, what I felt was a sense of sadness. I never knew, what the truth was.
Oprah Winfrey later explained pretty calmly that the connection people thought she had with Michael Jackson was never really that deep, at least from her perspective. But when someone with that much influence helps shape how the public remembers Michael, those comments carry serious weight. They don't just change opinions, they reshape memory itself. Add that to her involvement around the Leaving Neverland conversation, and it becomes easier to understand why many fans believe Oprah gained more by distancing herself from Michael than defending him. And this is also where critics point out another uncomfortable detail. The same Oprah spent years publicly appearing alongside Harvey Weinstein before eventually addressing the allegations surrounding him.
When some people think Oprah Winfrey, they think Harvey Weinstein because they have been linked together so often. First off, Oprah and Harvey have been friends for over 2 decades. A lot of people use the argument that she didn't know about what he was doing, but that's impossible because everyone's known about Harvey Weinstein's reputation ever since the 90s. If you guys don't know who Harvey Weinstein is, he is a major film producer who is pretty much the face of the Me Too movement because he was called out by a bunch of different actresses who he violated. When he was getting canceled and exposed for everything that he has done, Oprah allegedly called him and offered her support. Even though Oprah's team denies this, I believe it because Oprah has been close with Harvey and she has showed him him some sympathy over time, even though he is a disgusting man and he deserves to rot in jail. But I don't understand why Oprah wants to be best friends with someone like Harvey Weinstein. They had a very warm friendship, and the photos show. Some people actually believe that Oprah convinced some actresses to hook up with Harvey Weinstein. And actually, Rose McGowan tweeted out, "I'm glad more people are seeing the ugly truth of Oprah. I wish she were real, but she isn't."
When you step back and look at who Oprah Winfrey stayed close to versus who she slowly distanced herself from, a pattern starts becoming hard to ignore. Men like Harvey Weinstein received years of soft coverage and silence, while Michael Jackson ended up at the center of massive primetime discussions after he was no longer here to defend himself. And for people trying to understand why some powerful figures may have been uneasy with Michael keeping his image intact, that's where the whole idea of fear starts creeping in. By now, you've seen how Michael challenged system while Oprah appeared to side with the version that protected it. But there's still one more angle to this story: the people who refuse to play the game entirely, which brings everything back to the one voice that's been warning about the club for years. Listen closely to how Ice Cube talks about it, and keep Sean Combs in the back of your mind while you do.
Some of you may not have realized that I'm not part of the club. And a lot of you listening to me right here, right now, you're not part of the club either. And what I realized with the club is what makes them so mad is when you don't want to be a part of their club. That pisses them off. What club am I talking about? I'm talking about the club of gatekeepers that we all got to deal with. You know who they are, and they definitely know who they are. A lot of people would be like, what, who? Come on, man, stop playing.
Ice Cube jokes about the Illuminati, but underneath the sarcasm, he's clearly pointing at something bigger: a protected circle. The same names stay invited, stay powerful, and stay protected as long as they never go off script. And in that world, Sean Combs wasn't just attending the party, he looked like one of the people helping run it. So when Cube talks about rejecting that club, he's basically admitting he walked away from the comfort and protection that comes with keeping quiet. Now compare that to Michael Jackson, who started pushing back once he saw what the machine was doing to black artists. On one side, you've got Michael and Cube stepping outside the circle. On the other, names like Oprah Winfrey and Diddy building empires right in the middle of it. And if somebody ever exposed that entire system with real evidence, whose legacy would collapse first? That's why people who believe this theory aren't saying Oprah or Diddy feared Michael as some mythical figure. They're talking about a man who saw the industry from the inside, survived it, then started publicly calling it out. The kind of person who could cut through years of PR spin, polished documentaries, and media narratives with one honest interview. If Michael had ever fully opened up about labels, executives, media power, and the people behind those closed-door parties, he could have shaken that whole world. And maybe that's the real fear. Not that Michael was dangerous to the public, but that he threatened the people controlling the story itself. So now I want your take. Do you think Oprah and Diddy distanced themselves from Michael because they believed the accusations, or because they knew how much he had seen behind the scenes? And if Cube's right about this club, how many more celebrities are quietly praying the full truth never comes out? If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Until then, fam, stay sharp and keep it real.